We're going to discuss court etiquette today. It's incredibly important as many of these things are not merely etiquette, but can also result in fouls. We need to make sure that when we're performing these actions, that we respect our teammates, our opponents, and the officials. So in order to do this, we're going to go through some situations which people commonly mislook. I think you've made a mistake. You've put this ball over here. You were meant to put it over there. So, can you tell what that player in that situation did that broke etiquette and even the rules? Well, they entered the outer field, and even their foot crossed the inner field line and they entered the inner field. It is unacceptable behaviour for any player who has not been called to stroke by the chief referee to enter the outer field and especially the inner field. This can constitute interference in play and can be punished by the chief referee on the side which you belong to. In that case, the player, who was myself in the past, was playing ball 8. The chief referee could deem that that was unacceptable behaviour and give an appropriate penalty for doing as such. We must remember as players of Gateball that we are not permitted to enter even the outer field unless we have been called to stroke by the chief referee. You need to put the ball over here. Oh, you need to put it over there, right there, just there. So, which etiquette rule and rule indeed has this player broken? Well, they've used their stick, which is a piece of equipment under the rules, as a point or an indication device for their partner to spark a ball to or to stroke a ball to. This is not only considered incredibly poor etiquette and an example of unacceptable behaviour in the game of Gateball, but it is also against the rules. You see, equipment is accurately described in the rules as something which is used to stroke the ball. It is considered play interference in many circumstances if you use a piece of equipment other than your hand or body parts, usually the hand and arm, to indicate where you wish your ball to be stroked. It's important to note that when using your hand, there are other rules which apply, which we'll discuss in the next segment. Hey, we need the ball to be behind these ones here, just here on the ground. Can you put it here? Just spark it there. That's a little bit of a harder one. Can you see which one that player broke? Well, it's the same as the first example. Essentially, although they're not physically entering with their feet into the court, they are essentially, by touching ground on the inside of the inner field or on the inner field, coming into contact with the inner field, as the rules define the inner field as the surface of the inner field. Therefore, by touching it, they are committing play interference in some circumstances, depending on the movement of the balls. The referee can choose to punish this exactly the same as physically stepping into it. The situation is identical. So it's important to note that you are permitted to use your arms and hands to indicate the line of play, but we must point and never touch. You see, crossing the plane of the inner field of the outer field and inner field is okay, as long as we are not making physical contact with the turf or playing surface. As you can see, my entire body is outside of the outer field, in the free zone, but I am technically over both the outer field and the inner field. This is allowable under the rules, and should I wish the situation to have gone a different way, I could have said, hey, you just need a spark over here. And there would have been no foul and no etiquette breach. Hachiban! Hi! What has this player done that has increased his ability to play the game and to greatly assist the referee in their duties? Well, he was incredibly courteous. He rose his hand and he said, "Hai." "Hai" in Japanese means yes, and it indicates to the referee exactly where the next player of the next ball is. It greatly assists them in stopping them from running around the entire court or frantically searching for where the next ball in the playing order is. So, when our ball is called, in the case of me playing ball 8 in the last video, the referee called Hachiban, which indicates ball 8. My number was called. I rose my hand while standing in the outer field and said, "Hai," to indicate to the chief referee where I was standing. I then proceeded to enter the court and proceeded to play my ball. It's as simple as that, and it's a way that you can greatly assist the refereeing team from running around for no real purpose. Well, I'm really trying to test you now. What did that player do? Obviously, I haven't got a referee with me here, so they weren't able to call touch. Touch on ball 5, that is, with the 8 ball. But what happened? Ball 5 was sparked out of bounds. The player did indicate where they wanted to spark, which is correct and courteous, but they didn't do something which broke the rules. They didn't wait for the ball to be placed in the outer field. It is the responsibility of the player to wait until all of the balls that have become out balls during a stroke are placed in the outer field 10 centimetres from the inside line. You must wait for the referees to do this. Now, most referees will physically tell you to stand by, placing a hand directly in front of you like this, preventing you from playing, and saying the word stand by. They will then remove this hand and say proceed, so that you can play while they are in referee time. Referee time is a period in which the referees must fix up the balls around the court in relation to putting them as out balls. This referee time does not count towards the 10-second timing of each stroke, so you don't need to worry about wasting time in relation to that. You must remember to be courteous and to not break the rules by waiting for all of the out balls to be placed in their correct and respective positions after they have become out balls and exited the inner field.